Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Tuesday, September 12th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Price pushed higher in the previous session and continued through 2480. It was a strong early push in the day. We mentioned early on in the day that we'd like to come into 2480, but once prices get into 2480, there could be signs of rejection or perhaps a pullback, given how the market is responding to it. However, once price got to 2480, it started to build acceptance. By the end of the day, it was pushing through and continuing higher, and we see more of that now. Now, one thing we mentioned back before, this was last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, right here, when price drops down and rejects out of this small range here, that day was when I mentioned that's the likely point here where we go higher. It's basically this day, day one before the squeeze. That's what happened here. Unfortunately, this happened here ahead of the holiday shortened week. Here's the holiday shortened week, and here's the continuation. So very difficult to kind of jump on board unless you wanted to play into the holiday weekend. But this thing continues to push higher, and I mentioned before, ultimately this thing unravels to the upside and we see the squeeze start to turn out. So we're starting to see some of that now. We'll see if we can continue to keep that bullish tendency here. The next pullback towards 375 could be an opportunity for bulls to jump on board and look to squeeze into the next key upside target, which is 2517. So we could have much more strength ahead, pullbacks to be defended, and right now it could be more upside ahead if prices can stay above 24.75. All right, let's take a look here at the intraday for a moment, because the intraday has been quite bullish, unidirectional trending market. Here it is. The previous session, again, we had the 8:30 open about right here, and it was a straight push up, a little bit of acceptance, another push, and a hold. But by the end of the day, you can see how straight up this thing had been, still marching forward in that way, and usually you don't keep that pace the entire time, but you can see the LVN here left behind in this trend, and typically speaking, a pullback into that LVN provides a fantastic opportunity for bulls to defend on the swing basis and look to push this thing to the next level up. So right now, trending higher, quietly higher. If we do see a pullback of some sort, could be a great buy on a swing basis down the road. Right now, still trending up toward 2500 until proven otherwise. If we take a look at crude oil is also coiling up. You look at the higher time frame, very clear symmetrical triangle developing type of pattern here, where you have this type of development here where it's been very clearly coiling up. Right now we got the recent pullback, a little bit of a bounce. I mentioned before that we're likely to stay in this little zone here with a shot at seeing expansion, either upward toward 54, 55 or downward towards 40 to 42, right? That's kind of the zone that we're looking at some point. We're going to get that move. Which way is it going to be? I think, it's been very hard to call here, and I've mentioned this over and over, that once we're sitting here around VPOC, we can chop for a while before we make that move. So we have to continue to exercise patience and watching for that move develop. But right now, chopping around here. With the recent swing move down, we're testing the midpoint of that sell-off day. So if there's any failure to get above that midpoint today, which is 48.27, this could be an opportunity to defend and look for another wave down. So 48.27 is going to be the key level to watch here short term during the day. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. The NQ has been trending up, very nice uptrending market. We have a tightly coiled 5-day range here, but it's still developing. At the moment, we're holding above the key range high. You can see 6K right here. Nice uptrending behavior. This is a similar day to the one we talked about in the ES, where we kind of broke down and then boom, that slingshotted up into the holiday shortened week. Here's the holiday shortened week, and now we're kind of quietly pushing up. 6K is right at the edge of the range. 57.50 is the opposite edge of the range. So if there's any rejection here, we could see a move right back to this edge, and that could be another buying opportunity. Not sure we get a rejection at this time. We've been in this range for some time. We've been holding. It looks like it wants to squeeze here. So we got to continue to watch 6K. Above 6K has 60.86 and 62.64 as the next two upside targets to watch for. Failure to hold 6,000 could be another rotation back down to 58.90, perhaps even lower. Lastly, let's take a look at gold futures. There's GC. We talked about before, the trend remains very, very well intact. Very strong uptrending market, stacked and sloped PIMAs. I mentioned yesterday that we could see further pullback into 1330. And if we get to 1330, that could be about the time here where swing bulls come in and look to defend for another push higher. Our next target up is going to be 1375, and that's right about here. So this zone right here, even with the PIMAs coming in, could get a little lower, but 1330 is about the level here where bulls want to defend for a shot at squeezing this thing to 1375 over the next 2 weeks. So we could be looking at a 2-week rally here if bulls can defend this next pullback. So this is going to be very critical here to see how this plays out throughout the day. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing develops throughout the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you soon.